on the roof of the hospital and rehab center where I was an inpatient, and I'm now doing intensive day treatment program. And if you want to talk about using the human brain as a tool, here is today's lesson. Get over yourself and keep the same schedule every day. I used to think I already had an exhaustive list of everything fucked up that had happened during my childhood, and I understood how every one of those things made me better at being an adult. But it turns out nothing matters except having structure and having like a dinner time and a bedtime and the same thing happening from day to day, and learning that after having spent my whole adult life so far being like, whatever, time was just invented by some guy anyway, and so if you don't adhere to time, it means you're actually a more advanced, progressive person. And just staying awake for 3 days and then sleeping for a whole day and like arranging school and my jobs around that. Having to have a schedule was the hardest thing I've ever had to learn. What was the number one hardest thing I've ever had to learn? Having a schedule from one day to the next. I was forced eventually because it was explained to me correctly, I think, as a scaffolding that your brain can hold on to. So all day long you're not using processing power, figuring out, okay, now what am I doing next? I don't know, whatever I want, let me think about it. You always know based on what time it is what you're gonna do next. So what do we mean by having the same schedule every day? Get up at the same time every day. You do the same things in the same order, and then you have little windows for like a category of things. So maybe like this is the window where I do some kind of self-care thing, and then here's the chunk where I work, and here's the chunk where I commute, but it's at the same time every day. Go to bed at the same time every day. The hardest thing I've ever had to learn. It kind of reminds me of how I'm dating myself a little now because I've been at Mozilla for a while, but startups in New York anyway, like 5 years ago, and I was living that life, everyone wore Allbirds shoes and all black if you want to look like Steve Jobs, or jeans and a gray t-shirt if you want to look like Zuckerberg, and drink Soylent, and don't spend any time putting periods on the sentences in your emails or showering, because that's wasted time that you could be spending on the presentation that we're making for VCs. And similarly, that harnesses all of your mental bandwidth for creative thinking when you're not thinking like, what am I going to wear? What time am I going to get up or go to sleep? So if you want to have a schedule, which I recommend, even though it seems like the point is to not use your brain. Yeah, it's easy. And if you're like a smart person, then maybe you've made your life unnecessarily complicated so that it's more enjoyable. But try having a schedule so you can use your bandwidth for important stuff. I would recommend, if you want to start doing this, choose either bedtime or wake up time. Start with that and just try to do it at the same time every day, and give yourself weeks or months to get to that point. Don't wake up 5 minutes before whenever your first meeting starts every day and just never wake up on the weekends. Choose a start time, start your day at that time, make a list of all the things you're going to do in the day, do it the same time every day. It also helps if part of the morning involves planning the day, because then you just look at that list when you're like, have a window when you can do stuff, and then at the end of the day it's like, okay, this can wait for tomorrow. The end of the day, I was always like a no leave the lights on even if I was a sleep person, because I didn't want to admit that it was time to be tomorrow. I just wanted to melt into the couch because like that was my time to eat snacks and watch TV and not have to wake up and be at work. But if you can build stuff into the morning that you can do for yourself, then waking up isn't as scary. And once you've freed your mind by creating a schedule that is the scaffolding for your brain to stick to, you start to learn to just look at the clock, and the clock tells you what to do next, and you don't have to think about it, and stuff will always come up. Like the trick is that stuff's always going to come up that's going to make it not the same from one day to the next. You're going to have to think on your feet, you're going to have to move stuff around, but that scaffolding is always going to be there, and it's going to shave a bunch of unnecessary work off of the back of your conscious mind so that you can unlock your full potential when you're thinking about interesting stuff.